guys, welcome back to my channel, welcome back to my video, welcome if you are new. Today I have got my entire TBR to read. Like, I haven't started it, and it's, to be fair, it's not that far through the month. I think it's the 7th, so you know, calm down. But I haven't read anything on my monthly TBR, and I just feel like we're going to spend the next week or two whittling our way through it. So for those of you who don't know, I pick my monthly TBR. I pick it via a TBR jar. So if you haven't seen my September TBR, I will link it down below. But I picked 8 books for my September TBR. They are very autumnal, which I think is perfect for the time of year that we are moving into. It's currently, as I said, the 7th of September. And my 8 book TBR, which is listed in my book journal, is Alix E. Harrow's Starling House, Sophie Kinsella's The Burnout, Jedediah Berry's The Naming Song, Leigh Bardugo's 9th House, Holly Jackson's 5 Survive, Kayleigh Smith's Enchantra, Alex Aster's Lightlark, and Emily McIntyre's Hooked. So I have 8 books that I need to hurry up and get reading. If you want to see what prompts selected those books, go watch the TBR video. But in this video, we're going to read them. And I am so excited. And the first book is Enchantra by Kayleigh Smith. There is a Doing Book Stuff video, which will be out the Thursday before this, where I have highlighted that this, when I read this book, it means I am either up to date or finished in every single series I'm in the middle of once I finish this book. So it seems like the perfect time now to crack on with my September TBR, and the first book on the September TBR gets me up to date on the very last book. So this is Enchantra. It follows Phantasma, which is the first book. In the first book, I forgot what her name is, Genevieve's sister. Whatever Genevieve's sister's name is or was, I can't remember, but it follows her as she enters a sort of like a haunted house type vibe, and it's a competition where at the end of it she wins a prize and her sister has gone into it and she's going in to like rescue her sister. It very much gives Caraval vibes, but it's like a slightly more grown up Caraval. It's like if Caraval was designed for adults. This one then follows her sister Genevieve, as her sister, I believe, goes into a different competition. And this one says, welcome to Enchantra, there's only one rule, never ever trust your heart. So I'm very excited. The first book I read during a 24-hour readathon. I absolutely devoured it so fast. I sat in a field in the middle of August and I just like read the whole thing, and I feel like I'm gonna have a very similar experience with this book. But yeah, this is book number 1. I'm gonna go start it now. It's currently 4 o'clock on Sunday, so let's see how far I get through it. But I'm so excited to see how this series ends. I am buzzing. I've made it to page 102, which is the start of the spring equinox. This writing is so infectious. Is this a... Fine. So, at the beginning of this book, Genevieve goes to meet someone who used to know her mother. She goes and tries to find this man so that she can basically like talk to him and find out some stuff that went on with her mum. She turns up at this house and it's creepy AF. She like runs through this maze, like, you know those mazes built out of hedges? She runs through one of those mazes. There's like a fox that steals her invite. She then wakes up and she's like back outside the gate again, so she then gets back in again, and then when she knocks on the door, she basically gets threatened like 20 different times, and then eventually she finds out that she's come to this house at the worst possible time. So the people in this house are tied to one of the devils, because apparently there's multiple devils in this universe. They're tied to one of the devils, and every year they have to compete to the death to get a year of freedom, effectively, from hell. And she came on the eve of this competition, so now she's not allowed to leave because she has to join the competition. She then has to make a deal with one of the siblings that basically gives her a chance of leaving, or at least a chance of winning. And I just watched the deal happen. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. It's so... I find there's something about this writing, there's something about this story, and something about this universe that's just so quick and easy to read, but in like a really addictive, like you just want to like read the whole thing in one sitting kind of vibe. So I also really enjoy that the book is like separated by these like big chapter divides. So the first one happens at page 102, and then the next one happens at page 140. So like some of them are longer than others, but I just really enjoy how it gives you like such a clear cut place to stop, and it really like pushes you forward to read up to the next one. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's giving a very similar vibe to the first one, but I'm actually somehow enjoying it more. So I'm very interested to see how the rest of this story is gonna go. I feel like I understand a bit more about the world and about what's going on, when in the first book I did spend the first sort of 20 minutes going, huh? So yeah, I'm going to keep reading this book probably periodically throughout the day. It's about 450 pages long, so I've reached about the quarter mark, slightly kind of below that, and like I said, the story is now very much set up, and we're about to head into the actual competition itself, and I feel like that's where like the meat of this story is, and I'm so... Okay, 5-star feels already. I actually just can't get over how dark it now is in the mornings. It feels like only a few minutes ago it was like sunny every day, and now we're like in the depths of autumn. But it's only the 10th of September. I don't know why I'm being quite so dramatic. I have finished Phantasma. Oh no, this isn't Phantasma. I finished Enchantra. I actually preferred this one to the first one. I think the love story, or like the love subplot in this book, was more convincing than the first one. You get quite stressed reading this book because you're effectively following a main character who's basically playing hide and seek for a whole book while falling in love with like a demony hell-bound being. But I absolutely loved this book and I devoured it so quickly. So it's currently Wednesday. I finished this book on Monday evening. I honestly, 5 stars, big favourite, loved it. Loved the first book. I gave the first book 5 stars. I actually think this is better because the love story is more convincing. I think the game is better in Phantasma, but I think the characters are better in Enchantra. This isn't actually on my monthly TBR, but it is a library book that I've had out for a while and I just haven't got around to yet. So I'm going to include it just because 1 or 2 people, when I mentioned I got this book out, have said either they have bought it or they are interested in buying it. So this is The Crimson Crown by Heather Walter. It's the first book in a duology. The second book I think comes out in March next year. And it's about the backstory of the witch from Snow White. And I don't know why, it's just more witchy than I thought it was going to be. And I can't really, like, of course it is, it's about a witch, but I wasn't expecting like covens and witch lore and spells. And I don't know why I wasn't expecting that, but that's what we have. So we're following Alix. She has a sister who passed away. I think this is either on the back or it's very early in the book. She has a sister that passed away and she was therefore in line to be like the second of her section of the coven of the witches. And she's like a descendant of one of like the big 5 witches. But she hasn't got magic, or at least if she has got magic, it's not very strong. So she basically runs away and goes off on a bit of a quest on her own, and you're following basically her on this quest, and that's all I'm going to say. She ends up like enrolled within royalty and within a effectively like nuns, and it's all a little bit mental, but I'm actually really weirdly enjoying it. I wouldn't say it's like a 5 star, I'd say it's like a solid 4 star, but I'm currently on page 326, so about this far through. And this book is so floppy, which I'm a big fan of. So yeah, I'm gonna keep reading this book. I've got just shy of 200 pages left. I tend to read 100 pages per commute. So just in case I either get delayed or I decide to read outside of my commute as well, I'm gonna bring up 5 Survive, which is my other book off of my TBR that I wanna read next. So 5 Survive is a book by Holly Jackson. It follows a group of 5 people, I assume young adults because she normally writes young adult thrillers, who are on a road trip. Their car breaks down and then one of them is going to be murdered, but they don't know which one. And it follows 8 hours under the 6 of them. The 6 friends must escape or work out which one of them is the target. That is a very autumnal TBR. It's been a few days and I have some updates. So first things first, I read The Crimson Crown. It is so much more witchy than I thought it was going to be. And I mean, I knew it was a witch book going into it, but like it's very like coven-y, and she's trying to like complete a task that is like linked to witches. And I really actually enjoyed it. It was a 4-star for me. I wouldn't say it was like obsessed with it, but I actually really enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to the second book coming out, which I think is towards the end of the year. But yeah, it was actually really good. So I finished that book. I finished that book on Wednesday, I think, maybe Thursday. And then I started 5 Survive by Holly Jackson. So for reference, this is about 6 teenagers. 2 of them I think are 18 or 19. 2 of them are like adults, and then the rest of them are actual teenagers. And they are heading off to a, what do you call it in America? Summer break, spring break, one of the breaks. And they're trying to head off to like where everyone else is, and they're traveling via an RV because one of the group is scared of flying. So they are driving across the countryside in this RV. They basically end up getting lost, and then while they're lost, the tyres in the car all go out, and they think it's like, they obviously think innocent things at the time. And then it finds out there is a sniper who has basically held them all hostage in their RV until one of them releases a secret who one of them is holding on to. So then you follow the 6 characters while they're like, 1, trying to work out who the secret is, and 2, it becomes a little bit Lord of the Flies-y, because they're trying to work out how to stay alive, and it gets quite dark at some points. I don't think this is my favourite Holly Jackson, and I think it's because I didn't enjoy the twists as much. Like I don't know, and I think I can't really tell you why without ruining the ending, but it feels a little bit like some of it's a little bit predictable because of the way it's written. I do enjoy the fact that it's over, I think, 6 hours, and you see the hours like count down in these little like hour break pages, and so therefore it did feel like it moved quite quickly. So yeah, I really enjoyed it because it's Holly Jackson. I gave it 4 stars, but when you consider some of her other books, I've given 5 stars. You know, I enjoyed it, it just wasn't like my absolute favourite. Anyway, and now I'm reading Sophie Kinsella's The Burnout, and I haven't read a Sophie Kinsella book since I read The Secret Diary, The Confessions, the Something of a Shopaholic, what are those books called? I don't know. I haven't read a Sophie Kinsella book since those days, and her writing is just so quirky. Like, it feels a little bit like you're reading a teenager's girl magazine. Do you remember when like Girl Talk was a big thing? It almost feels like the writing of the articles in Girl Talk. And this one is called The Burnout. You're following a character called Sasha, who, and I can empathise with her a lot. She works for a startup. She loved a lot about her job, and she kind of still does like the job, but because it's a startup and people leave and the job expands and the company gets busier and they're still too like small to like really hire around her, and they've got this like startup mentality, and she's absolutely burned out to the point where she kind of just doesn't want to be there. And she basically has this absolute mental breakdown in terms of like, she swears at her boss, runs across the road, tries to join a nunnery, then the nun like exposes her to her boss. So then she leaves, and as she leaves, she runs into a wall. And this character is very much giving my kind of chaotic energy, and I'm really enjoying like that. Yeah, that's as far as I've got. We've got into like the setup phase of she's burnt out, she tried to join and become a nun, she failed and ran into a wall, and now the doctor has signed her off for 3 weeks of leave. And this is, I think, the period that we're now following. And I don't really know what happens after that. I mean, a lot of it actually is in the blurb, but I haven't really read the blurb. So we are going to see where this heads out next. I just feel like this is actually just like a really nice, light-hearted, easy, breezy, no mental capacity needed kind of book. And I'm very excited to keep reading it. There is something really infectious and really easy about Sophie Kinsella's writing style. So yeah, I'm going to go read this book. I'm currently only on page 37, so I haven't got very far. And I will keep you posted.
Get it out of the microwave as soon as possible.
So I'm very nearly finishing this book. There is, I don't know, about 75 pages left. I'm on page 330. I was really enjoying it and I was having a really fun time, and it feels like it's just going on a tad too long. Like I kind of feel like I'm getting a bit bored and I'm like, get to the point. So you're following, I think I've mentioned this, I don't know, you're following two characters. The main character who you're like in the brain of is Sasha, and she was burnt out from a job. She's gone to this like place where she's spent her childhood to basically reset and like redefine what she wants in her life now that she's got like a time to break. And then she's met this guy while she's there who seems to also be going through a similar situation. And now we've got to like, there's almost like 2 third act breakups, and we've got to like the second of the third act breakup. And this is what I mean, it just feels like we already had one, why are we having a second one? And then what's going on with like the work life stuff now, I feel like this book could have been like a 300-page book and it would have been great, but they've kind of like tagged on this like extra 100 pages, and it's just, I can't do it. Like I obviously will complete the book, like there's not much left, but I was really enjoying it. It was like a solid like 4-star, like easy breezy read, and now the further through the book I get, the more I'm just a bit like, get to the point. Like I said, the only other of Sophie Kinsella's books I've read are the Shopaholic series, which I haven't read since I was a teenager, so that could just be what her writing style is, I don't know. But I mean, it's very easy to read, it's a very like effortless, light-hearted writing style. There are some like deeper topics and deeper discussions in here about like work-life balance and relationships and grief, and like there are like deeper things going on in here. There's also like a weird like thriller type thing where there's like messages left to them on the beach and they're trying to work out who the messages are from, but that almost feels like it's dragging on too much, and like they think they have an answer and that's not the answer, they think they have a different answer, that's not the answer, and I just started to not care. I don't care anymore. I'm so bored of thinking I have the answer to then find out that's not the answer. Because when I do find out what I think the answer is, it's really bad. So then I'm kind of relieved that's not the answer, but then I'm just, are you getting what I'm putting down? I finished the book. I'm gonna give it 3 stars. Honestly, it was, even the ending was a bit like, ugh. I was not the biggest fan of this book, but it's finished, it's read, and I need to pick up my next book. I asked Alix to pick my next book. He has picked the second book on my monthly TBR, which I'm going to go with the second book that I'm still to read. So, 1 is Starling House, 2 is The Naming Song by Jedediah, I don't remember the surname, where is it? The Naming Song by Jedediah Berry. I have to say, when I talked about this in my monthly TBR, I don't understand the plot of this book. The blurb is very, very confusing, and the blurb has lots of really big, long, complicated sentences. So I'm slightly overwhelmed by this book. It's also 450 pages long with quite small text, so I just feel like it's going to take a really long time. I get the impression there's like, I actually don't really know what this is about. I'm just going to read it. We're going to start it, but this book really intimidates me. I picked this up in a Waterstones around the corner from the office when I was like buying standalone fantasies I'd not heard of before, and I bought this in that like selection of books. And like looking back at it, I didn't really think about this too much before buying it, and therefore I don't know if this is a bad idea, but we're going to start it, we're going to see. I've made it to page 125, which is the start of a new section. I am so confused, like I'm just about following the plot, but like it's really hard work. Like there's something really confusing about this plot line. Basically, something has happened to language. I don't know what, but something's happened to language, and they're now having to like rebuild up words for things. And there are these people who basically collect words and bring words back into population. I don't know. So you're following this main character who her like word or her name, I don't really think they call them names, but her word is trouble, and she reports into someone called Book. it's all a little bit weird. And then she's got like a ghost and a monster, and now she's abducted another ghost and a person. And she's like trouble, but she's also unnamed. And they were on a train, and now they're not. That's about as much as I'm picking up. I am so confused. I don't know what it is about this book, and I felt that way as I read the blurb. Like, even as I read the blurb, I was like, I don't understand what this book is about, and therefore I don't really know why I bought it, but let's not get into that. Yeah, I am so very confused. I mean, I will obviously continue reading it because that's just who I am, but if someone said to me, explain the plot, I don't know if I'd be able to. I think as much as I've explained to you is as much as I'm picking up. This book has less than 1,000 reviews on Goodreads, so it's not a very well-known book, and therefore I assume he's not a very well-known author. But if this is my first impression of him, I'm not gonna lie, the actual like sentence structure and like his use of language is great. It's the plot, I'm just not following the plot at all. I basically never DNF books. Like, I will always painfully go through a book until it's over. I just can't. They start introducing these new characters. I don't know who they are. Where did they come from? Why are they here? I just don't understand. I just don't understand. I'm currently on page 152 and I'm just not following the story at all. And I can't keep going. I can't do it. I just can't. Like I say, I think I've DNF'd about 3 books in my life, and I think this is gonna join that elusive group because I just can't keep going. I am so not following it. I find I'm reading sentences and not understanding what the sentence is even saying. Like, there's something about this writing that just doesn't make any sense. And like, I just don't understand it. I just don't get it. And I am going to DNF this book. And it's really sad because, you know, it's a very unspoken about book. Like, there are so few reviews on Goodreads that part of me was hoping it would be an absolute gem and it'd be like a little secret undercover gem and I could put it forward and it'd be like really exciting. But Anyway, so I'm now going to pick a new book, and hopefully this new book goes a bit better than the previous one. What am I going to pick? So the choices we have are Starling House, Ninth House, Lightlark and Hooked. So this one is a Peter Pan, Captain Hook dark romance, and then this one is a new fantasy series. I kind of actually want to read Lightlark. I think this will be my next book, and I'm really hoping this is going to be brilliant because this book was not. So this is Lightlark. This is a new series to me, but a series that's been out for a while by an author called Alix Aster, who she's written 3 books in the series. The 4th one has been announced. She also wrote 1 romance, and I think she's just announced a new book, but I don't know what genre that falls into. This is what it says on the back. Welcome to the Centennial. Every 100 years, the island of Lightlark appears for only 100 days to host a deadly game, where the rulers of 6 realms fight to break their curses and win unparalleled power. Each ruler has something to hide. Each curse is uniquely wicked. To break them and to save themselves and their realm, one ruler must die. To survive, Isla Crowned must lie, cheat, betray, even as love complicates everything. And from what I can gather, this is a love triangle. It's a romantasy, it's trials. I think it's gonna be great. I'm really excited. I cannot tell you how much better this book is. I feel so relieved to be reading a good book again. I'm currently on page 77 to the start of chapter 10. We have been introduced to the leaders of the, how many realms is it? 6? 6 realms? I want to say 6 realms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah. We've been introduced to the leader of the 6 realms. We are following Isla, who is a... clearly not retaining information. We're following Isla, who is a wildling, which basically means they can control nature. The curse that they have is every time they fall in love, they have to eat their love's heart or something. It's quite creepy. So all these like different realms have different curses, and they're all now together on this island. I think we're on day 5 of the 100 days. around that point. They're currently having dinners together. There's like little alliances forming. There's some kind of sprinkling of what could be a romance, but I'm not really sure because nothing really has happened. I am really, really enjoying this. It just felt really good to read a book and immediately understand what was going on. And like, I needed lots more context and I've still got a lot to learn, but like I could follow the overall gist of where the plot was going to go, which I just could not do in the previous book. So I'm very much enjoying it. I'm also really enjoying the reading experience. This is a slightly bigger book. I'm also just really enjoying the plot and the writing and a lot about this book. So yeah, I'm feeling happier. I'm relieved that I stopped that book. I am so relieved. I finished Lightlark. That ending. God, you can see where the like love triangle really is coming from. But I'm gonna give this a 4 to a 4.5. It's gonna go into Goodreads as a 4-star. And it's because, right, it started really good. Loved the beginning. The middle kind of lost me a little bit, and I think it's because I went into it expecting it to be a trial, and it wasn't really a set of trials. They were basically investigating something on an island that just had a deadline, and that's kind of about it. And so therefore I was expecting there to be some like challenges and some things I needed to do and some battles and some fights and stuff, and none of that really happened. But once I got over that, and I therefore read the ending, I did really enjoy it. I just kind of, it wasn't almost what it was like sold as in the back. But if you take the trial out and just pretend it's not a trial and pretend it's just a load of rulers on an island trying to break a curse and they have 100 days to do it, if you just view it more in like that mindset, it's so good. I really enjoy the fact that in how many pages this book is, 410-ish pages, I think there was one kiss. Like, this is such slow burn, and in like a really nice way. It was like not sexual, there was no like sexual thinking. It was genuine connections that people are building, and I really enjoyed this book. But yeah, I'm giving it like a 4 to 4.5 stars, but only because I don't think the description on the back of the book matches 100% what's going on inside the book, but I'm very excited to see what the next book follows. I mean, I know it's going to follow, but like how the next book is going to go. I've got 1, 2, 3 books left. So I've got Starling House, Ninth House, and Hooked. And I do think I'm going to read Starling House. This is what it says on the back of the book. Step into Starling House if you dare. Opal is a lot of things: orphan, high school dropout, full-time cynic. Most of all, she's determined to find a better life for her younger brother, one that gets them both out of Eden, a town renowned for bad luck. So when Opal gets a chance to earn a good wage at Starling House, Eden's very own haunted mansion, she can't resist. Her new workplace is uncanny and full of secrets. Just like Arthur, it's brooding air. It also feels strangely, dangerously like something Opal has never had. A home. As sinister forces converge on Eden, Opal realises she might finally have found a reason to stick around, but now she'll have to fight for it. Also, a standalone fantasy dream. So yeah, I think this is gonna be my next book I'm gonna read, and then there's 2 more books left, and then I've finished my TBR. So I'm off to read this, and I'll keep you posted. But that cover, it is so cold. So cold. I forgot how cold our house gets in the morning when it's cold outside, and it's still double degrees, so God knows what it's going to be like when it actually is cold. But yeah, anyway, I have a couple of updates. I finished Starling House by Alix E. Harrow. I really enjoyed the first bit. So the first bit was giving like haunted gothic house, and then it had this like curse attached to it where really bad things happened in this radius around from the centre. As a woman who's going to work there to be a cleaner, she's kind of half falling in love with the owner. She's also being like they're trying, like another company is trying to use her to like spy on the owner because they think something's going on there. And it was like really fun and gothic and a bit mysterious, and the romance was kind of cute, and everything was like really working for me. And then suddenly at about 60%, it suddenly became this like weird monster hunt. And I just don't think that was needed. If any of you have seen Split, the film, which is like an emotional, I don't know what you call it, like a thriller thing, and it's dealing with someone with split personality, and the first like 2/3 of it, or even like 90% of it, is incredible because it's like really showing how much the different personalities control the person when that personality is like in flight. And I honestly was obsessed with it. And then at the end there's like a secret personality that comes out, and the end of the film just gets weird. And this was giving Split, but the book version. I hated the ending. Like, I hated it so much. And it's such a shame because the beginning 2/3 of it was really, really fun. But yeah, so a shame. But I gave it 3 stars because I just, like, from 2/3 on, I was like, up until that point, it was like a 4, 4.5, and then it went off the rails. And then I started because basically I was on a rail replacement service and it was delayed and there was lots of late runnings. So I read quite a lot yesterday when I was in the office. So I started Hooked by Emily McIntyre, which I genuinely thought was a Hook / Peter Pan retelling, and so therefore it was going to be like fantasy and mythical and all that kind of stuff. Because that's what the cover gives, right? The cover gives fantasy, the plot gives fantasy. It's called a Never After novel, which also gives fantasy. It's a dark romance, which, like, fine, I read dark romances, but it was just so not what I was expecting given the name and everything involved with the book. So you're effectively following a man called James, whose nickname is Hook, and he is like a sort of criminal bad guy, owns a nightclub, is like broody and mysterious and tall and dark and all that kind of stuff. And then you also have Wendy, who is the daughter of another, I don't know if her dad's supposed to be a criminal, but another like nemesis of James. And she is the daughter of this guy, and she's quite innocent, and I think she's a little bit younger, like she's 21. And on the very first, I think, chapter or the second chapter, her mates drag her out to this nightclub and basically come with us. And so she goes in, she catches James's attention, and then it's like a really spicy romance story, which is just not what I was expecting. But I'm currently on page 102. I feel like I'm gonna breeze through this. Not only is the text like really big, I just feel like it's a really easy book to read. Quite a lot later, in fact, it's very nearly 9 p.m. and I have got home, I've had dinner, I've chilled out, and I finished Hooked, which was just not what I expected going into it. I think I said this earlier, I thought this was a fantasy retelling of like Hooked, or like Peter Pan from Hooked's points of view. It's interesting because you can see they've taken inspiration from each of the characters. Wendy is obviously inspired by Wendy, James is inspired by Hook and goes by Hook as a nickname. And then Wendy's dad is almost a little bit like Peter Pan in the fact that like Peter Pan just like disappears, and there's a lot of love there, but also a lot of, you can see where the inspirations come, but it's very much a dark romance. I really enjoyed the first half. I enjoyed it was very, very spicy, very, very quickly, but I was having a good time because it was like quite fun, a little bit dark. There were like basically some rival gangs and a daughter of a gang, and it was getting quite like messy in like a really good way. It then, at about 2/3, halfway through, somewhere in that region, it got quite mushy and quite like lovey-dovey, and it sort of felt like it pivoted very fast. And then the second half of the book almost felt like a different story. It didn't feel like it was like a gradual shift. It felt like it just suddenly shifted very fast. So I actually gave this book a 3 stars, but I am excited to continue the story. I actually don't know what the second book is called or what the second book follows in terms of like inspirational characters, but it's a series of 5 books. Or maybe even 6 now, but 5 books. I own them all, so I'm gonna go and read the rest of them. And it was such a quick, easy read. And then I haven't started it yet, but my next and final book of this video is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, which I did discover more recently is the beginning of a new series. I thought this was a standalone until I bought the second book and realised it was part of the same universe. So this is what it says on the back. Welcome to the 9th house. Galaxy Alix Stern is the most unlikely member of Yale's freshman class, a dropout and the sole survivor of a horrific unsolved crime. Alix was hoping for a fresh start, but her free ride comes with a catch. She has been tasked with monitoring Yale's secret societies, notorious haunts of the rich and powerful. Now there's a dead girl on campus, and Alix is the only person willing to look deeper because the societies are far more sinister and extraordinary than anyone ever imagined. They tamper with forbidden magic, they raise the dead, and sometimes they prey on the living. A tale of power, privilege, and dark magic, 9th house is Leigh Bardugo's mesmerising Sunday Times best-selling adult debut. Today is Tuesday. I will probably end up reading this over tomorrow and Thursday, and I'll probably check in with you guys either somewhere in the middle or on Friday to round up this video. But yeah, I'm really excited about this book because I love Leigh Bardugo. Bam. It's been a little while. I actually finished this book, I don't know, about 3 days ago, and just haven't got around to like giving you my final thoughts and feelings. But I finished 9th House by Leigh Bardugo, which means I finished all the books on my physical TBR. Yeah, I finished this book. I really struggled to get into it. Like, I felt like for the first third of the book, I just really wasn't sure. Basically, you have this person who is sort of like investigating to a degree these 9 societies because they keep getting mixed up in deaths. So she's trying to like basically get them to stop. And it was like, I was really struggling to follow it. And then about, I don't know, a third of the way through, it suddenly clicked. And from then onwards, I was having the best time. Like, I was honestly really enjoying this book. And the cliffhanger that this book has ended on, that will then go into Hellbent, I actually think the second book is going to be a lot better. But it's all the vibes. Like, if you want like a slightly mystical, witchy, it's not witches, but it's that type of energy book, this is like really good for this time of year. I think I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads because the first third, I had no idea what was going on. But yeah, I've now finished this book, and that means I have finished my entire monthly TBR, which, I mean, I do it every single month. I don't know, I'm surprised, but I did it, but this time I did it all in one video. And I don't know if this works or whether it's too much reading or what, but I think I might, going forward, make sure I include all of my monthly TBR books in videos. Maybe not one video, but like find a way to incorporate them into either like bookish vlogs or reading challenges or something, so that I then pick the books in the monthly TBR and you then see them being read throughout the month. And I think that's the plan. And then books I read around that will just be books I read in my own time. So yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, give this video a thumbs up. Click subscribe because the next video will be my next month's TBR. So click subscribe if you love a monthly TBR. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.